Hello everybody, Raven Knight here. If you're watching this video, I assume you've already seen my video where I read Greed and Ambition, the story of Conquistador Vela. A lot of people assume that these stories about the hero skins I've written myself. I want to go ahead and clear the air and say I'm not the one who writes them. Ubisoft writers write these stories, I just read them for you on YouTube. If you want to find the stories and read them for yourself, you can go to the Ubisoft For Honor website where they have them under the hero skins page. I just read them for you here. I appreciate your praise for how well I read it, but genuinely, I'm not the writer. I don't want to get the wrong idea here. Now, let's move on to talking about the hero skin. Really enjoyed reading the story. If you haven't heard me read it yet, go listen to it. I think you'll like it. Then come back and watch this. And before we get into talking about the story itself, let's talk about the hero skin. What do I think about Conquistador Vela's look? Honestly, I love it. I think it's the best of the Knight looks at the very least, if not the best hero skin so far. I would still kind of weigh it next to Maiko. I still really like Maiko's hero skin, but that's just my position. I really like it. For what it is, though, Conquistador Vela's looks great. It's a fantastic hero skin. I think overall it's just beautiful to look at. I definitely got it the minute it came out, and I know I'm not alone in that. If there's anything good that's come out of the season so far, it is that hero skin. Looks great. Now, let's talk about the story, because honestly, I don't want to sound negative. I hate sounding negative all the time. I really do. I know that some people are starting to think that I'm getting fed up with For Honor, and I'm not. I still love For Honor, but I won't lie. This story, it started so strong. There was a lot I liked about the way this story started, and then it failed. It just floundered in the last part. Now, before we get into the three parts, let's build context. We need to understand how this story starts. So basically, what happened after the Inquisition season was this. Astria has heard rumors about a city of gold across the sea. There's no evidence that it actually exists. It could all just be a rumor. We have no idea. But Astria is prepared to stake some reputation on that. She's ready to stake some resources on that claim. So she goes to one of her underlings, Vela, who is a warmonger, and says, all right, I'm putting you in charge of an expedition to go out and find this city of gold and bring back what you can. Now, already I have a few problems. First, why are you doing this, Astria? This seems very reckless of you. And of course, people are going to say, well, she is a reckless person. Okay, I don't like this idea that saying because someone just is dumb or reckless, they will always do things that are dumb and reckless. Astria is a calculating person. She's not ridiculously stupid. She shouldn't be wasting resources on this venture, especially based on a hunch. At least with Arabia, they knew it existed. They knew where to go to find it. They'd heard of it plenty. They knew there was evidence that it was out there. With this is all based on rumor. They have no idea that the City of Gold is real. They have no idea that it's actually out there. But she's still going to stake her reputation on it, I guess. Secondly, why isn't Chimera the one doing this? Why is it Horkos? No, really, I mean that. Chimera is at its weakest point right now. They are so weak, they can't even celebrate, their usual Chimera banquet because they're so low on resources, they're so low on manpower, they're so low on hope. I feel like if they heard the rumor of a city of gold, they might go, guys, this might be what we need, If we can get the gold from this city of gold, maybe we could use that to get some inspiration back, bring people back to us, pay for more war effort stuff, Right now we could really use some backup. But no, it's Horkos. But anyway, let's move on from that. So Vela agrees and decides to go out on this voyage to find the City of Gold, and they somehow find it. Couple more problems. Where is Heathmore on the map? Historically speaking, of course, they're basing Conquistador Vela off of like Hernan Cortez and the conquistadors under him, obviously. But my issue is this. When Cortez set out for the New World, they already knew it was there. They already knew there was something far to the west of Europe. So when he set out, they already knew what to do. Keep sailing east, you'll eventually get there, But here, again, it's rumor. They have no idea where it is or how to get there. And keep in mind that Heathmore is kind of like some kind of island or something. Which direction are they supposed to sail out from? Where do they go? How do they get there? Like, what's the deal? And you might be saying, Raven, you're nitpicking. I'm sorry, but I care about this story and I care about history. So how do they know where to go? How do they know how to get their bearings? This is a big risk you're taking, because think about it, Astria, you Apollyon wannabe. Think about this for a second. There are multiple ships. Vela says that there's more than one ship going on this mission. That's a lot of manpower, a lot of resources, a lot of food, and a lot of time you have to dedicate to this expedition. If they fail, if they just sail around in circles and then eventually all die or starve or what have you, well, you're out a lot of manpower, a lot of resources, a lot of food, and a lot of money for something that was completely worthless. See, again, this seems really stupid to do. Cortez knew there was something far to the west. Vela does not. But they somehow find it in 6 months. Okay, let's forget how that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and let's just go from there. What happened when they got there? Well, we don't know the details, and that, I think, is the biggest problem with this three-part story. That's the biggest problem with the three-part story. They kept going on. Look, we knew from the time we saw the season reveal trailer that there was a Conquistador hero skin, and they managed to lay siege to the Aztec Empire and get all the gold. We knew that from the start. What we wanted from this story was to hear about what happened when they got there. We don't hear anything. Literally, the story leaves out tons of detail. And that's probably the biggest sin of this story right off the bat. It tells us nothing about what happened there. The only things we know that happened there are, 1, they found the city. 2, they were ambushed a lot in the jungle because Vela has a little bit of PTSD from it. And 3, they basically destroyed the empire. The empire of gold that they found, they basically destroyed it and laid it to waste. That's all we know. We don't know how they did it. We don't know what methods they used. We don't know anything else. All we know is that they found it, basically destroyed it, and escaped. All with the gold and with a prisoner. Now, that's where our story picks up. You'd think that that'd be the story in its entirety, but no, our story picks up as they're making their way back to Heathmore with their prize. The first part of the story, I'm going to say this, the first part of the story confused me a little bit. If there's one good thing I can say about this story, one really good thing about Vela's story, it's that this is the first hero skin where we have a whole lot of character depth. With the other characters, we really didn't get much depth. Ramiel, we had a little. We kind of explored him not liking being immortal, like his emotions have kind of grown distant and he's concerned about that. That's something. Bolthorn, we didn't really explore his character. We mostly just explored his story. Maiko's the same. While her story was fantastic, we really didn't explore her necessarily, or her feelings on certain things, just, her story. And then Ravier was the weakest in terms of story, I feel like, because, she's just Astria in a Black Prior outfit. That's all she is. She's just edgy Black Prior, wannabe Astria. Yin Chen was okay. I liked her. I liked her convictions. But it very much was the I want to do what's right mentality. Nothing wrong with that mentality. I like that mentality. That's why I like Yin Chen so much. But Vela's a little unique. Throughout Vela's story, particularly in the first part, we see that she's nervous about something. She's dealing with PTSD. What happened in the jungles of the Aztec area stuck with her. She is suffering a little bit. She's kind of feeling that strain of what happened. And that's something unique. That implies to me that Vela is not the strongest warmonger. Now hear me out on this. What is Vela's goal here? She wants to be Astria's right-hand woman. She wants to be Astria's right hand. She wants to be on the same level of Astria. She wants to be strong. She wants to be respected. She wants to be admired. She wants attention. She wants to be seen as someone strong. You know what? A thought occurs to me as I talk about all this. Maybe Astria didn't know if this would be fruitful or not. Maybe she sent her weakest links on this mission because she didn't know if it would reveal fruit or not. Kind of like, oh, well, if we find it, great, you'll do your part. If we don't find it, well, I haven't lost that much anyway. Maybe she didn't see all that much in Vela in the first place. That's a little questionable, but that's the only rationale I can think. But Vela is desperate to prove herself, so she went on this mission, but it stuck with her. Like, she kind of freaked out a little bit. Like, it freaked her out just how devastating the things that happened over there were. What things happened over there? They won't tell us, but at the very least, we know they were traumatic enough for her to have a little bit of fear ingrained in her. So the ship is attacked by marauders, and they're fighting them off, and somehow they say in the first part that the marauders know about the prisoner and know about what they did. Really? Really? How do they know? How do these marauders know? Do they know about the City of Gold? And how do they have a ship just as big and strong as their ship, the Domitor? And if they are they pirates like Bo Yen? Are they pirates? Or do they have access to Heathmore? Do they know that? If so, if they can go between the two lands, Heathmore and the Empire, how do they not know about the Empire? Like, what's going on here? These marauders kind of came out of nowhere. But regardless, they're just de facto bad guys. We can kill them. We also see a little bit more of her personality when we see that one of her fellow conquistadors is knocked off the edge of the ship. But her armor was made of full gold, and that was a waste of gold, and she doesn't care about the life. She cares more about the gold. That's fine. That's whatever. But I will say this, from a historical and practical standpoint, why did they make armor out of gold? Why did they do that? That's not a good armor substance in the first place. And second, why did they take the time to do that when you have limited time and resources to do what you need to do? So that's just a thing there. And I'll get into this more at the end, but the term conquistador annoys me. We'll get to that. Okay, so that ends part one. In part two, that's my favorite part. Part two is the best part of this story, bar none. It has a lot of dialogue, which we've been missing a lot in these stories. I love to see dialogue, especially when it's written well. And this dialogue, okay, it could have been a little bit better, but at least we had some. We see Vela having a dream about what happened to her in the jungle and how scared she is. She goes down to meet with the Jaguar, probably to basically maybe to face her fear. Wouldn't that be cool? She's gone down there because she wants to face her fear, face the one that did this to her. And she basically lays out, you did something to me, man. You are one of the most ferocious, terrifying warriors I've ever fought. And that might not mean a whole lot to you, but I come from a land where war is common. Okay? For you to do that to me means a whole lot. You really brought out something in me. And she even seems to care a little bit, are you hungry? Have my people been feeding you well? But then as she walks away, the Jaguar starts to chuckle, just laughs at her. Because he knows something. He knows something she doesn't, and that scares her. Okay, so far pretty good. First part was okay. Second part was amazingly well done. Third part, we have some problems. So they get back to her castle and they see that Chimera and Horkos are fighting there. Okay. I love how it says that she thought that it was a welcoming party at first. How can there be a welcoming party if you have no idea how long your expedition was going to take? How did they know when you would be back? How did they know if you would be back? So I don't know why you assumed, oh look, a welcoming party. They knew you'd be back at this time. Anyway, so they pull up. Vela decides to jump into the fight and starts fighting. And then she learns not to let her fear rule her. She uses that fear. She's grown a little bit thanks to the Aztec. And she is so proud to be part of the fight. She helps fight off Chimera and defeats them. So once again, Chimera gets their butt kicked by Horkos. Nothing new there. That's pretty much par for the course. They got their butt kicked by Ravier earlier. They get their butt kicked by the Inquisition. Now they're getting their butt kicked by the Conquistadors. Chimera can't catch a break, guys, and that is a criticism I'll get into. But anyway, so after they do the defeat, she does this little speech, and the speech was fine. Okay, she's grandstanding a little bit. She's being a little bit proud. But one thing I don't like is she says this in the line. She says, no one has ever seen a conquistador fight, at least this side of the sea. And this is where we have the problem. I want to say this. Okay, this is going to sound like nitpicking, but first of all, conquistador just means conqueror. And the conquistadors of history were made famous during the Spanish Inquisition. During the Reconquista. I apologize. During the Reconquista, which was before the Inquisition, but that's not the point. That's when conquistadors were made famous during the Reconquista. Why wouldn't they know what a conquistador is? Ubisoft seems to be under the impression that conquistadors are just people who raided the New World. That's not what they were. Conquistadors were conquerors for the Spanish Empire. They fought in the Reconquista. They were sent to the New World, yes, but they got famous in the Reconquista. In fact, they say that Vela is a Spanish warmonger. Where is Spain in Heathmore? Where is Spain, per se? Where is that? See what I mean, guys? It's kind of getting to this point where it's you keep wanting to tie in history and culture from the real world into this, but you're not really getting it right. You say, she's a Spanish warmonger. Where's Spain? She's a conquistador, and no one's seen them before. Conquistadors existed in Spain before they showed up to the New World. You do know that, right? So they seem to not really understand what a conquistador is. They're just using it for the pop culture reason. Oh, conquistadors, they're the guys who went to Mesoamerica and did a lot of stuff there, right? Yes, but there's more to them than that. No, it's okay. She was a warmonger before she left. She's a conquistador now that she did what she needed to do. Uh-huh. Why didn't you send a conqueror instead of a warmonger? It would have made a lot more sense terminology-wise. But, okay, maybe I'm nitpicking there. Let's keep going. So, she gives her speech, and then she shows off all the gold they got. A ton of gold. Mountains of gold. So much gold, they can't even believe it. And then she announces that they have a prisoner. And then she says the line that killed everything. She says, in the story, the last of his kind. The last of his people. Damn it. Okay, do you remember my big criticism with Griffin? that he's just holding cross. He's one person. That means it makes no sense when there are 4 holding crosses on a single team. There are 8 holding crosses when everyone's running Griffin. What if you have 8 people playing and all of them play Griffin? How can there be 8 holding crosses? Did you establish an order of Griffins later? That's possible. Maybe Griffin said later, maybe Holden said later, I'm going to establish an order to make more Griffins. That would have made some sense. But now how can you do this? If you've wiped out the Aztecs and there's only one Jaguar left, if there's only one Aztec left out of all of them, what the hell are you going to do now? How are you going to solve this problem, Ubisoft? What's going to happen when this new hero comes out and everyone's playing a Jaguar? What's your lore answer then? He's the last of his kind, right? So let me just be clear. If this Jaguar breaks loose during the festivities and gets killed by Astria, well, there's no new hero, is there? See, that's a problem. You have just shot what you're about to do later in the foot with your lore. I pray you're about to surprise us. I pray that what's about to happen is it turns out there were more alive and they followed the Conquistadors back, so now there's more. Please let that be what happens, because if that's not what you're doing, you're in a lot of trouble. Now, then the story ends with Vela noticing that storm clouds followed them, which makes me realize what's happening here. I'm going to go ahead and propose my prediction. It turns out that the cursed gold is, well, cursed. The Aztec gold is cursed. A storm has followed them to Heathmore. You notice that in certain little pieces of lore, none of the things brought back by the Aztecs have been shown any respect. All of Horkos is spitting on the prisoner, mocking him, laughing, being gluttonous, being sinful. Horkos, ooh, those big, mean Horkos baddies. Oh, they're just so disrespectful. Yeah, okay. There was also that bit where there was a Shugoki, apparently, who couldn't stop eating, like he was constantly hungry. I think they're going a Pirates of the Caribbean route where the Aztec gold is cursed now, and the gods have cursed it or something. And so the only way they're going to be able to remove it is the Jaguar's going to remove it or something like that. And it's just going to be the same thing as Bullthorn and Medjai. That's what it's going to be. But at the very least, with the Medjai thing, the artifact they stole was cursed because of Bullthorn's fault, and Nephrica led his Medjai, a large army of Medjai, to fix the problem. Here, it's one prisoner who Vela has said, last of his kind, last one there is. It doesn't make any sense. Oh, man. And that's when the third part ruined everything. And it's so sad. The first and second part of the story were very well done. The second part might be my favorite part of the lore so far in any of the hero skins. But then that third part ruined everything by throwing so many monkey wrenches in everything that's supposed to happen next. You know what would have been better? What if, okay, and again, they could still do this. What if what happened was the Chimera attack was just a front? What if while Vela was celebrating their supposed victory, Chimera snuck on board the ship and freed the prisoner? What if that had happened? Wouldn't that be interesting? Now this hero is about to work with Chimera to defeat Horkos and get back at them? Wouldn't that be interesting? That'd be something new at the very least. But they probably won't go that route. What if during the festivities Chimera did it? You know? Then this person may be indebted to Chimera. Or what if while Vela was fighting, the Jaguar used that opportunity to free himself? You know? Free himself. And then when they get back on the ship, they see that several conquistadors have had their hearts ripped out. You know, like something like that. Something to imply that this guy's a threat, because let me be very clear about something. I'm not intimidated by the Jaguar. Sad as it is, I'm not intimidated by him. Why am I not intimidated? Easy. Because Vela and her small group of conquistadors, keep in mind, let's say that there were 3 ships, right? 3 ships of conquistadors. Let's say that that's about 200, 300 Horkos warriors. Okay, let's just say it's around 300. Went up against an empire and won. Won so well that they were able to take one back alive for Astria to kill. Well, then they must not be that strong. They must not be that tough. What do we have to fear from one of them if their whole empire was so easily taken down? Unless they're going to go with the whole thing of, oh, but they were a peaceful and kind and benevolent empire that was just bullied and mistreated, and now they are here to reap their revenge. Oh, there it is, the Outlander formula, come back home to roost. I can't stand it. There's so many ways this could be done well. There are ways you could fix this. In fact, I'll be honest, Vela, to me, could fix this. I read in one of the Daily Order pieces of lore where it said that while everyone expected Vela to be celebrating and happy, she doesn't seem as happy. She's standing by the prisoner's cage, kind of looking off into space, almost like she's worried about something, or there's something bothering her. Maybe Vela's about to do something surprising. Maybe there's going to be something interesting about Vela here. Maybe she and the Jaguar may build a connection or something. Maybe they form an alliance or friendship, or maybe they form a rivalry or something. I don't know. There's got to be something here, guys. You started off so promising. There was something there with Vela. I really liked it. I thought it was so good, but now you've kind of trashed it. And I hate that you've trashed it. I am so sad by that. It's so depressing what you've done. But I can only hope that you do something better in the future. But anyway, what are my thoughts on Vela? Honestly, like I said, design, S tier. Absolutely fantastic design. Story, well, the context to set up the story is crap, but once we actually got into it and we set all that aside, Vela is promising. Vela is a very promising and enjoyable character. I really have high hopes for what they do with her later. I really hope that they don't crap on her too badly now that this third part is out and it's ugh. But here's hoping, right? Anyway, those are my thoughts on Conquistador Vela. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed to my new channel yet, Raven's Writing Room, go check that out. I talk a lot more about writing and book analysis and my own books that I've been creating. Please go check it out. Would really appreciate it. Thank you all so much, and I will see you in my next video. Take care.